And what do you think are some of the big things that in your mind people don't understand or misunderstand about Bill Hicks?
One of the things that I think is paramount about that is that Bill was always on a journey. If you look at all his work, there's some contradiction in it. He went through phases. He went through phases of his own personal development as a human being, as his experiences grew, and he would constantly go inward, and he was dealing with a lot of his own demons, as we know from his drugs and alcohol and all. But it was a process. He never, there's a sort of truism about comedy that it takes a good 10 to 15 years to really figure out what your voice is. And your confidence grows commensurately along with that. But it does take a long time to really figure out what your point of view and what your voice is and who you are as a human being, which is constantly developing, particularly for a guy like Bill, who was very thoughtful and introspective about things like that. So one of the things that's important to remember is that Bill never really landed any place. They were just what you see in most of his major pieces of work are cadences along a journey that was continuing. He went through a lot of transitions, went through a lot of growth, a lot of confusion about his own point of view, Mm-hmm. And that's important as young comedians look at his work. If you want to buy into the mythology, which is perfectly fine because he's certainly worthy of some respect, and it's fine to sort of separate him as a kind of case study of somebody who's doing great work to aspire to. But it's important also to remember that he was in a process and that we're all in a process. And what he accomplished as a comedian is largely because of his talents and his gifts, but really equally as largely because of his hard work and his personal integrity and the choices that he realized he needed to make as a comedian, what he would not work like and what he will work like. Those are all things that we all as comedians have in us if we aspire to that kind of greatness.
It's something, I've been doing comedy for about 3 years now, and just this idea of finding your voice and like what that means. And I mean, now for me, I only go to maybe like 1, maybe 2 open mics a week or something if I have the chance. But for me, the very daunting thing is just feeling like I'm so far from like finding my voice, even though, like I do a show, I do movie reviews, and I'm pretty comfortable with how I talk in that. I'm wondering like how do you see your journey to find your voice? How long did it take, and when you found, was there like a day when you found it, or did people kind of tell you that you found it, or what was that like?
Well, I think the journey's still going on. I mean, really, it depends on what day you ask me. But I think rather than isolating a particular voice that I can really articulate, what happened for me was I embraced a certain I embraced confusion. The sort of sophomoric approach to saying things you care about and ideas you feel about on stage is to know from whence you come, to know what it is that you're saying clearly, and to go up against the things that you want to challenge, and sort of head to head. But where I've evolved to is more of a kind of question. Where I've evolved to is more that my work is more about questioning the things that I believe and the things that I believe conventional society believes and all those sorts of things without having hard, firm answers. And it becomes more of an interactive thing with an audience. It becomes more, interactive is the wrong word, but it becomes something that the audience can participate in. Let them draw conclusions based on what I'm trying to say or express, rather than tell them what I want them to believe from what I say or express. And that is, for me, that is very much a more clear voice than I ever had before, because I don't doubt what I'm saying anymore. The questions are fine. I don't need to be putting forth answers. And so that's been a big stride for me in terms of finding what we're talking about as voice.